Well, welcome everybody back to the Figure Kit Garage, fellow resin heads and kit builders. Brent Krug back alongside Virginia Peters. She joins me tonight for all these reviews.
Hello, everybody.
We're back with a haul from Monsterpalooza, which took place on June 2nd. I want to say thank you to everybody out there who watched the video that we shot, along with all the photos that I took on that day. It's gotten a lot of great response. But this video is going to be a long one. I decided not to do multiple videos separating every single model, because that would be at least 9 altogether. I decided to do just one, but we're going to try and get through this as fast as possible. The box on the table in front of you is the latest offering of the character Vampirella from X Plus USA. This is a 1/8 scale kit based off the original artwork by Jose Gonzalez, which is one of the most well-known portraits of Vampirella. A few years back, X Plus released the very first plastic kit they ever decided to do, which was this version of Vampirella, which this is my finished version. A really good build that at first I thought was engineered very well, but did have some technical problems getting some of the body parts to fit right, and the boots were kind of a nightmare to put together and seam. But all that aside, this second kit has been a long time waiting. I picked this up from Monsters in Motion at the show for $55. I've been seeing them for as high as $60 to $65. And this is 38 pieces. And we'll start off with this instruction sheet with, just like the other one, full detailed rendering of the build. And they added some differences to this one as far as the character in regards to her outfit and as well as her hair. I won't take anything off the sprues, but suffice to say, this is a beautifully sculpted piece. The earrings, the back of her head, the front and back of her legs. Try and get that in shot. And one of the things they did differently with this one is the costume is actually separate from the front and back half of the body, which allows you to paint all the skin tone and the costume completely separate without having any mess. Unlike the first one, there was a lot of masking that I had to do after I got the skin tone done to get the red outfit finished. The Vampirella nameplate looks very much like the front of the box on the artwork. And this time, unlike being 1, 2, 3, 4, the boots being 5 pieces, this time they are only 4 pieces, if I recall correctly. We have the boots. We better have boots. Oh yeah, we do have boots right there in front of me. Duh. 1, 2, yeah. 3 pieces instead of 5 this time, excuse me. Unlike the last time, it was the front, the 2 sides, then the sides of the feet, and then the heels were a completely separate part. Trying to seam that together to make it look like it was all one shot was not exactly a lot of fun. So they actually got this one right as far as the boots that she wears. The lone bat that sits on the top of her right index finger in that famous pose that she's in, like the previous bats, really beautifully done. Nice fur detail, the webbing in between the wings. Really gorgeous. And here we have the front and back half of her costume, as I told you about, which will snap onto the actual body, and that way it can be seamed along the side. Makes it much nicer this time around that I can paint that and not have to worry about it. And then the front half of the upper body with the bat logo down at the bottom, that might be the only thing I'll have a little bit of concern with, because I'll have to paint that in gold either beforehand or afterwards. But the engineering on this one is even better than before. And something they did this time, again, like last time, the two fingers, her ring finger and pinky finger on the right hand were separate pieces. Well, this time they did it again, except this time it's the right thumb. Again, another separate piece, more putty work to get that blended in well, and then the left hand that will sit on her hip. And then the base comes with an abundance of skulls and numbered on the parts tree and numbered on the base as well as to where every one will fit. So a very nice thought out detail by X Plus to do this the right way to make it easier to get the skulls in position right. So really nicely done, nice details on the rib cage, and one skull that I don't have to worry about. I had a chance to talk to the representative from X Plus at their table. They did have a built version of the new Lugosi Dracula that's coming that looks absolutely fantastic. And if I recall correctly, that was sculpted by Tony Cipriano. And they also had the Revenge of the Creature kit there as well on display, fully built. The Gamera, the silver screen, and standard edition of Maria from Metropolis. What else did they have there? Oh, yeah, the Jurassic Park kits that are coming.
Mm-hmm.
They have no release dates for the Dracula or the Creature as of yet, or the Gamera. But the Jurassic Park kit is the T-Rex chasing Ian Malcolm after he breaks out of the pen running with a road flare. But the one thing I absolutely love about it, and it's about high time somebody did this, they actually included the lawyer getting caught with his pants down, quite literally sitting on the toilet in the rain. That is going to be a standard part of the Jurassic Park kit. There is a standard edition and there is a deluxe edition. The engineering on the T-Rex itself is absolutely amazing. They do have a Frankenstein kit that is currently in process, a Lon Chaney mummy, and much to my surprise, he did admit that there is a Lon Chaney Wolfman kit coming. That's still in the prototyping stage. There was no estimated release date, but those kits are forthcoming from X Plus, who are definitely wanting to dip their toes into the plastic and vinyl kit hobby, and they're doing a damn good job. So this kit, besides being available from Monsters in Motion, I've seen it on Cult TV Man's website, as well as BigBadToyStore.com. You can find it there. Even look in your local hobby store if you have one around. They may have it or they may be able to get it. So this has been this review of the Vampirella Plastic Model Kit from X Plus USA, based on the artwork of Jose Gonzalez. We're going to take a quick break and reset and come back, because next we have a really beautiful dragon bust sculpted by Brian Fay. We're going to review that next, so sit tight. We'll be right back. All right, we're back with the second review. And as you can see on the table, this beautiful dragon is from a game series called Inkarnate. And unfortunately, this bust was never produced for that game series. I myself do not do RPG in any way, shape, or form, so I'd never heard of the game. But this bust really, really caught my attention. This was traditionally sculpted, as hard as it may be to believe when you see how beautiful this thing is. The amount of detail that sculptor Brian Fay got into this is absolutely stunning. This was originally designed by Glann Rane, and what Brian Fay did with this is absolutely remarkable. When he said it was hand sculpted, I almost wanted to tell him he was full of it, but I just couldn't do it. This is too beautiful to ignore, and as soon as I saw it, I'm like, yeah, I want one. I wasn't going to resist. It measures right around 7 3/4 inches in overall height, and this retailed at the show for $80. This is one of two editions. This is the stone edition of this dragon. The other was an artist-proof edition that was limited to 50 and was signed by both Brian and Glenn. Both of these have sold out on the official GlennRane.com website. I'm not sure if he had any left after the show, but this is nearly 2 pounds of solid polystone resin. If I can get him in a little bit closer, there we go. Just absolutely gorgeous detail all the way around. The little cracks in the horns. This thing is so nice, I almost don't want to paint it. The detail speaks for itself. You could get away with glazes and washes, and this thing would still look fantastic.
I think that's what I would do, is I would do washes, maybe some dry brushing, some glazes, but I would not literally paint over it, except maybe the teeth.
Yeah, the teeth.
But yeah, I would paint it like stone.
You heard the lady. Rubber feet on the bottom for a beautiful display. Sadly, if this is no longer available, which neither one of these were available on the website, but this was one that I just could not pass up. For 80 bucks for something, you know, that's this heavy, that's this beautifully detailed, how can you go wrong?
If you love dragons, you can't.
Exactly. She said it best. If you love dragons, you can't go wrong. And the box art, I'll go ahead and bring that up here to the table. Inkarnate role-playing game tool set. Designed by Glann Rane and sculpted by Brian Fay. An amazing bust. I'll have to think long and hard about how I would want to detail this. Washes, glazes, and dry brushing. Yeah, I can't see myself trying to cover every square inch of this bust with paint. No, I just can't see myself doing it. So this review, as quick as it is, I know there wasn't much to it, and to Glenn and Brian, I do apologize, but this is a very fast review. But overall, an absolutely gorgeous dragon, original design for a game that I can honestly say I had never heard of until the show. So if they do have them available, maybe get in contact with them. All the contact information for every sculptor or dealer that we've dealt with at the show will be down in the comment section below, and it is going to be a long list: Facebook, Instagram, and website. So for this review of the Dragon Bust from Inkarnate, the role-playing game, we will be right back because now we have a big one coming. From Anthony Watkins, one of my favorite sculptors, we have an orc. Stick around. We'll be right back. Back once again, and on the table, you see the creation from Anthony Watkins that I picked up at this show. This is the Hunter Orc, sculpted and cast by Anthony himself. I do not know the exact scale on this because I don't think there's ever been a real live orc to measure it up against. Thank God for that. This was $250 at the show, and I will say this, every penny that I paid for this rather slightly handsome looking guy was worth it. And he is a heavy boy. With just the 2 shoulder pads alone, he is 3 pounds, 15 ounces. So you can imagine my surprise when I pulled him out of the box, and just the main part of the bust itself, just that, him alone, was that heavy. Solid cast, very well sculpted. Anthony has done dragons, orcs, goblins, were hyenas, you name it. his repertoire and his reputation precedes him. He's one of the best fantasy creature sculptors out there. These creations that he's done could very easily pass for something you see in either The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings. They're just that damn good. So I'm going to bring this ugly guy in closer. The amazing skin texture and the scar detail along the side of his face. We're bisecting that upper lip in a very grotesque fashion.
I think he's handsome.
Okay. But Anthony's eye for detail with these characters that he's created, and these are all original pieces. They're not copied from anything. His eye for detail for every single one of them is second to none.
I don't know if you can see it on camera, but the skin detail on his head and his neck is absolutely amazing.
Hopefully at 60 frames per second, this will pick it up the right way. All the wrinkles, a little bit of mold lines has got to be done, but not really anything to scream about. The chopped up end of the ear with a scar running right through the center.
The leather detail on the chest plate.
I got some of that dirty down rust that's going to work real well on these buckles and some of these
buttons.
Yeah, the buttons or rivets or whatever you want to call them. But this thing is absolutely phenomenal. Rivets around the back. And this is 13 pieces altogether. 12 in resin, excuse me, and 1 bit of fur to attach to him. But this is an incredible piece. I have 2 of Anthony's dragons from years ago, Goliath and the Corruptor. And when he started branching out into orcs and goblins, he swung for the fences and he did a damn good job.
Didn't you review the 2 dragons?
I didn't have the figure kit garage back then, believe it or not.
Oh.
This is the left shoulder pad. I don't have any other thing to call it. All the stitching around the edges. The eye for detail again. Unreal. Bones from all of his victims sewn through or attached in some way.
Worn as a trophy.
Yep, exactly. Worn as a trophy, as there is a skull on the right shoulder pad. The casting is just absolutely remarkable. Pegged real well to sit. It'll have to be pinned, I have no doubt of that. But it'll sit just like so on the left shoulder. Then we jump to the right shoulder pad. Seam stitching detail in the leather at the top edge. Beautifully worked in. Very worn, very pitted and scarred. All along the edges. Really beautiful. And there will be mold line flashing to clean up, some seam lines. But with a kit this big, you can't avoid it. There's just no way possible. And that will plug in just like that. Just those 3 pieces alone is 3 pounds. But it's still an amazing sculpt. I'm going to call these pieces knives because that's almost what they look like. That will attach to the front plate here and here, and will sit just like that when he's built. But amazing bone detail, just to show how terrifying this creature really is. Really beautifully done. My hat's off to Anthony Watkins. After all these years, you're still hitting home runs, bud. The skull of whatever creature this is supposed to be in that fantasy world that this thing comes from, who knows?
Very well detailed.
Oh yeah, pockmarked, scarred. Even the nasal cavity, really well rendered. Big ass teeth, and they will sit. He'll sit just like so. That'll have to be definitely drilled and pinned somehow, so that doesn't get broke off. But that gives you an idea of how big this piece really is. And to go along with that skull, you have the creature's lower jawbone split in two that will hang on either side, attached by rope, which is included with the kit. But they will sit just like that. Trophies of a hunter.
Yep.
Without a doubt. And then these two bones here will sit kind of crossed. I'm going to take this. Ooh, don't want to spill that. Will sit crossed right around the neck, because what will attach to it will be this piece of fur here in the bag, which I like the color that it came with. There's various colors that I think he disperses with every kit, but I like the black and silver. That'll go good with it, as well as the rope for the lower jaw. And I believe this piece here has a wire underneath that rope, underneath the rope itself, that will help hold this to him. But overall, this is an amazing kit for fans of The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, or any Dungeons and Dragons.
A little big for Dungeons and Dragons, but it is really nice.
Yeah, just a tad bit big. The one that I actually wanted at the show, he was out of, and I went ahead and went with this one, and I could not be happier with the purchase overall. Anthony still has these available. His contact information will be in the comments section down below. If you are interested in this or any of the other kits that he has, hit him up and let him know that you're interested in them, because they are so worth it that it's crazy. So this is the review of the Hunter Orc from Anthony Watkins. We will be right back with our favorite lab rat, Todd Rex, and his creations from the show. Stay tuned. And we are back, and the three usual suspects you see on the table in front of you are the creations of Todd Rex of Lab Rats Incorporated. Todd has been to multiple Monsterpaloozas, and I have purchased from Todd before, way back in 2014. I can't believe that this is 9 years old. My first purchase from Todd was this version that he did of the creature from the Black Lagoon, perched on the top of a pier post with the rope wrapping around it. And it really showcases Todd's sculpting capability and his eye for detail. The second one that I picked up from him in 2016 is this 1/4 scale Boris Karloff mummy. And besides this, he also had a full 1/4 scale figure that had actually been wrapped in bandages. I plan on redoing the base at some point, but you see Todd's skill with likenesses. He's damn good. I cannot deny it. His newest offerings this year were these two. These actually came could be bought as a set of 4 little mini monsters. He had Frankie and Wolfie, creature with a sign that said no fishing, and a Karloff mummy with a sarcophagus, or you could get it without the sarcophagus. But these are really well done. You know, they're not overly detailed, but they're just enough to make them cartoony, and they're perfect. Absolutely perfect. I believe I want to say he sculpted these digitally, but I don't want to be wrong. But he had cast up a whole bunch of these just before the show. Little purple fabric flower. And then the Cheney Wolfman. Perch like a pooch.
Yep.
You know, nice hair detail. And the one thing that did kind of surprise me is I've never seen a Cheney Wolfman with a plumber's crack. So you have the full moon that makes him a wolf that also has a full moon.
Mm. Interesting.
But each one of these goes for $130. They are still available. And if you're interested, Todd's contact information on Facebook will be down below. The one that I wanted more than anything else was Todd's newest version that he did. This is based on a mask that he sculpted years ago. This is his version of the creature from the Black Lagoon. This was scanned from the actual mask and cleaned up in ZBrush, 3D printed, and then molded and casted. It is 6 inches tall, and it retails for $130, and this is still available. This is a really beautiful and impressive piece. Like his other creature from the Black Lagoon, all the scale detail all the way around, even the smoothness in the head, there's a little bit of texture in there. These little areas on the side, all the wrinkles, beautifully done. Beautifully, beautifully done. That is this look at Frankie, Wolfie with a plumber's crack, and Todd's new creature from the Black Lagoon.
Very well engineered.
Oh yeah, very well engineered, very cute, very comical, especially with these two. This one could be painted any number of ways and it would still look fantastic. The original mask was just as beautiful. If you're interested in any of these three and the other ones, check out Todd's Facebook page. He had pictures of all these built and fully painted.
How tall are they?
The Frankenstein and the Wolfman are 7 inches tall. Creature is 6 inches tall. So that is this review. If you have any questions or comments, please don't be afraid to leave them down below. I'll answer them as fast as I can. And we are going to be right back with a very unique 3D printed bug from La Bestia Studios that I picked up as well. Stick around, we'll be right back. All right, we're back, and as you can see, standing next to this bottle of paint, this little guy is what I like to call the Steampunk Bug. He was created by La Bestia Studio. He was 3D sculpted and printed on an Elegoo Jupiter, barely 2 inches tall. Actually, just a little over. Is he over 2 inches? Right around barely 2 1/8 inches in overall height.
And how long?
He is. Wow, right around the 5-inch mark. This little guy caught my eye, along with the other ones that La Bestia Studio had at their table. I'm actually zoomed in on the camera because he's a really, really tiny guy. If I zoom out, that's as big as he gets. So bring him back in so you guys can see all the wonderful detail on him. But for $60 for a 3D printed kit that looks like this, the detail and the idea of it is absolutely stunning. Very delicate because he's 3D printed, without a doubt. But this has Lord only knows how many options of painting to go on him. Little to no resolution lines. There are support artifacts on the other sides of the wings and the legs that have to be taken care of. But overall, for a $60 kit that's 3D printed, I can't argue with it. This is one of many amazing designs that they had. They had spiders, they had crickets, grasshoppers. Lord, what else did they have?
I don't remember, but I wanted the grasshopper.
But Steampunk Bug by Bestia Studios, their link to their website, labestiastudio.com, was not working at the time when I tried it. But keep looking them up. I do believe they have a store on Big Cartel as well, where they do sell this stuff, and several others. They had a lot of other stuff besides the 3D printed bugs. They had all different types of creatures. Check them out if they get their website back up and running. But Steampunk Bug from Bestia Studios. That is that for that review, and I'm going to skip straight over to this one final piece from Rey Hernandez. I wish I could remember how much I paid for this, as I love dragons. This was one that Virginia knew what I would like, that I would definitely love. Let's zoom the camera back out. Yes.
I saw it on the table and had to wait for Brent to come over to look at it because I just knew he would like it.
This is what I call a young dragon. He is completely 3D printed from top to bottom. And he was 3D printed in clear, but he was covered in primer so the detail could be seen. But the original digital sculpt of this creature that I've seen on Rey Hernandez's site is absolutely beautiful. Like I said, I wish I could remember how much I paid for him. But very, very young dragon.
I think it was between 40 and 60, somewhere around there.
But in overall height, to the top of those horns, we're looking at right around 7.5 inches tall. Not a shelf queen in any way, shape, or form. Really nicely detailed young dragon from a straight digital sculpt. Check out Rey Hernandez's website. His contact information will be down below. He also has an Instagram too, if I remember correctly. So look him up, see what he's got. Probably like it. Also look at labestiastudio.com. Hopefully they'll get their website back up and running. And check out all their offerings that are 3D printed and hand sculpted. We have, what, 2 more reviews to do? Yep, we have 2 more reviews to go. We have a very beautiful set of unique looking dragons from Audre Schutte. Then we have some tools to review from YK Studios. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, and the kits that you see on the table are from a sculptor by the name of Audre Schutte. They were designed in 2022. They are fox dragons, also known as Kirin. These are original sculpts by Audre, and I went on her website, and besides being a talented digital artist, I don't know if you had the chance to look at her website at all.
I did.
She is a very talented hand-drawn, hand-painted artist as well. Now, these kits are printed on a first-come, first-served basis because she only has one printer, and they come primed and unprimed. Primed is just a little bit more in the cost and adds a couple of days to the production, which is about 2 to 3 days, but can take up to 1 week. Now, the tiny little one...
Depending on how many orders she gets.
Exactly. Now, this tiny one, if you can see all the little incredible detail at this printer that she has, I believe she printed this on and Elegoo as well. I think she printed on this out on the Jupiter. All the tiny little fur detail, the scale detail in the neck.
Those claws are unreal.
Yeah, only that could be done with a 3D printer. Trying to sculpt that by hand and mold it and then cast it would be practically impossible. She tested out various types of resins and talked to different people in the 3D printing community about what resins would work well, especially with the talons and the wings. And I believe this one was a little bit cheaper because the one feather right there was busted off, wasn't it?
And part of the feathers were broken, yes. So they gave me a discount on that. So
Okay.
I only paid $7 for the little one.
And if you can see all the little feather detail, right down to the tiniest little bit. Little feathers on this thing are incredible. Sits right in the palm of my hand.
They do have generic round bases because she did them in the scale of gaming pieces, but only for the small one.
Yeah, only for the small one. The largest small gaming base is about 2 inches in diameter, I believe. And excuse me, this one will sit perfectly right in the middle of it. The big one, however, this is the medium size. This is 5.5 inches tall. And for a 3D printed piece, this thing is actually quite heavy because she printed the wall thickness about like that. I want to say it's almost 1/8 of an inch thick or a little bit more. But you can see this, just the claws on this thing. You could not pull that off traditionally sculpted without any damage. Beautiful scale and fur texturing all over this piece. Just like the small one, identical in every way, just on a larger scale. There is a larger scale which comes in at 6.5 inches tall.
Yes. And her prices start at like $15, and they may or may not go up. For the big one, did I write down how much I paid for that one?
Believe. Okay, this one was 20.
Yeah, I paid 20 for that one.
So I'm assuming that the largest one of them all is probably going to be about 30, 25, maybe $30.
But for the detail, that price is not bad.
No, not at all. The face detail, again, like the small one, very beautiful. Some minor cleanup with support divots from the printing process, but any 3D printed kit, just like my Bug, it's going to be the exact same thing.
Little to no resolution lines, which surprised me.
Actually, some right there.
Like I said, little to no.
Little to none. You're very correct. We'll sit just like so, very stable. I'm going to tilt the camera up a little bit so you guys can see that. A very elegant looking type of dragon. And then the right wing, all the feather detail. Even better than the small one. Damn, this thing's actually beautiful. I can't lie.
Yeah. She's going to be fun to paint. I think I'm going to do her in pearlescence.
Oh, that would work.
Her and the baby.
That was the left wing. This is the right wing. Excuse me. Don't know my left from my right tonight. What am I doing? But still, 3D printed. Exceptional detail. Exceptional quality, to say the least. These fox dragons are amazing. Just to look at them and see, she had other 3D printed pieces too, didn't she?
She did.
Do you remember what she had?
I do not. That one caught my eye.
Fair enough. Usually happens that way.
I'm more into the fantasy type stuff and horror, but I really like fantasy. And this to me screamed fantasy.
Oh yeah, it being a Kirin, absolutely. So this is the Kirin Fox Dragon, sculpted digitally and 3D printed by Audre Schutte. That was available at Monsterpalooza. She does have these available on her, I believe it's her big cartel store. The link for her site will be down below, as well as her Instagram contact. If you're interested in this, give her a shout. These prints are extremely well worth it.
Also, look at her other artwork. It's very well done.
Yep, she does color and black and white, all different styles and all different sizes of prints. I was really impressed by the artwork she has. But as you can see, next to a bottle of paint, it's not that big, so it's not that big of a shelf hog.
The length is a little,
yeah,
because of the tail and the claws and everything.
Figure overall, she's what again?
5.5 inches tall.
And then she's right around 6.25 inches in length. So that's actually not that bad.
No.
I mean, even making a decent base for that, fantasy-wise, would look really, really good. So that is it for this review of the Fox Dragons from Audre Schutte. We have one more review to go, and that is the tools that I picked up. So stick around, we're almost done. All right, we're back for the final review, and this time we're going to review some tools that I picked up. These tools were available last year on Etsy, and they're from a gentleman by the name of Kodai Yoshizawa, who has come up with skin texturing tools. Now, for those of us in the garage kit hobby, having to retexture human skin sometimes can be a real pain in the ass.
Yes.
And what Kodai has done is he has 3D printed multiple sets of different texturing tools for doing human or even possibly like orcs or ogres skin. And I picked up 3 of the tools that he had available. He had the entire line that you see on the card, and you could get 20% off, which I honestly wish I would have done it now. In hindsight, yeah, it was kind of dumb not to do it. But first and foremost, I picked up the medium round pore skin texture, and I had a chance to actually play with one of these at the table because they had little bricks of clay set out, covered with cellophane, and you push very gently down into the clay, and it mimics human skin texture.
On top of the cellophane.
On top of the cellophane, you pull the cellophane away, and it leaves what you did behind. And like I said, these would have been useful years and years ago to a lot of us. They are available. These in particular, this one in particular was $20. Then the stone tool set, 2 different sizes, 2 different textures, that you roll them around in the clay, and they will create an organic skin texture very quickly. And I had a chance to mess around with these as well, and the end result from when you roll it around in clay or even epoxy sculpt, from which I understand that will work, as well as magic sculpt, the effect is incredible when you actually see it done. So getting to mess with these at the table was a really great opportunity to see how well they worked.
I, however, did not do that, and I wish I would have.
Leave it to me to find all the good stuff.
Oh, really? I found the dragons.
Very true. I stand corrected. And then the medium pore skin texturing tool set comes with 2 different types of tools. Now, this is the rounded set. Come on, there we go. Which recreates it much like the large texture tool does. And then you have a directional, which is more flat than round, which can create pores for beards, mustaches, or whatnot. But these tools are going to be very, very invaluable to anybody that does the figure kit hobby. And I'll show you the card that I got with these. The large texture stones, the regular texture stone, which, as they say, is their best seller. They were completely sold out by the end of the show on Saturday. The texture brush sculpting tool, the directional stamp, which is just like the one I showed you, which is more directional than rounded. The medium round, large, and regular texture stamp, and then the small pour and medium pour texture stamps.
As you can see on the card, those are the textures that they do to mimic the skin.
Yep, that's exactly how it's going to look when you're done.
It does take practice to get it right, so do not be afraid to play with it.
Yeah, especially with the texture stones. It creates very wrinkled textures in the skin, very marbled looking. So, like I said, orcs, even dragons or aliens or whatnot, these would be really invaluable to do that with. But the round pores for regular human skin, these things have been a long time coming. I wasn't aware of who Mr. Yoshizawa was when I met him at the show, and then I looked up his background. This guy has been involved with a lot of high-profile movies and TV series over the years, and he was in the makeup departments for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Malignant, the TV series Sweet Tooth, Army of the Dead, the Swamp Thing television series, the most recent one that had been canceled after one season, Annabelle Comes Home, Brightburn, Aquaman, the TV series Westworld, which was canceled by HBO Max, Insidious: The Last Key, the TV series Outcast, Inkarnate, The Last Witch Hunter, Insidious Chapters 2 and 3, Independence Day Resurgence, and much to my surprise, the first season of Stranger Things. So, this gentleman has a hell of a resume when it comes to visual effects, makeup work, and sculpting overall. So these texture tools were a fantastic buy. I do plan on getting the rest of them down the road, but I wanted to show these off for anybody out there that has tried to texture skin on their garage kits, regardless of the size. He has the small pore skin texturing tools that would be perfect for anything from 1/8, 1/6 down to 1/8. I think these would be better for 1/4 and larger. This one, life size, and especially with these and the larger stone texture stones themselves. Very invaluable tools. His Etsy shop does have these available. I will leave his Instagram, Facebook, and his Etsy store links down in the comments below. I hope you didn't get bored listening to us through all these reviews. Like I said, I didn't want to do a whole bunch of separate ones. I wanted to do them all in one shot. Monsterpalooza was a fantastic time. This is our last haul from it, but it was a hell of a haul, a hell of a good time, and we enjoyed it. So for these reviews, all together, this has been the Figure Kit Garage. I want to wish everybody a wonderful evening. Everybody stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. Build a kit.